What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be another huge day for the markets. As you know, Jerome Powell was under testimony today under the U.S. Senate, and he's also going to do it tomorrow. So that's why tomorrow is going to be huge. I'm also going to say what the news has been saying about NIO as well, because we have some great updates coming out, and also what the data is suggesting and what NIO put on their Twitter page that still makes me very bullish for the long term. Now, before I go over all of this data and all this information, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 8 days. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So you can see right here, this is what I thought would happen to NIO in my previous video. I did think that NIO would see a little bit more downside than what it actually ended up showing. And I predicted we'd close somewhere around that 22.5 range. We ended up closing at 22.55, but we actually held up a lot better than I think many of us would have expected. So why did I think the market would actually close red? We did actually get a red market close like I predicted, but it just didn't happen kind of like the way I expected it. So here's the important thing, okay? We had Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed. He was under testimony today, and he had a very, very important meeting with the Senate Banking Committee. All right. And he actually was very optimistic. He did mention he was questioned a lot and pressured about gas prices and other things like that. And he actually did whatever he could to try to stay as optimistic and stop the market from getting hit. And you could see in the beginning, the market took a big hit. NIO dropped down to 21.93, which is an indication that there could be more downside in the future. But we got this nice bounce up to 23.13 as Powell was speaking. Then all of a sudden, Powell was asked about a recession. And Powell responded with, well, the truth is, he basically said, he plans on continuing to raise the federal funds rate, which is going to raise interest rates, slow down the economy. And he said a recession is in the realm of possibility. So he finally used the word recession. He also stated that a soft landing is going to be tough. So he finally used that word. And the market, I mean, we didn't necessarily crash, but we did start to kind of drop. And a lot of the gains we saw from the day, they kind of disappeared and the market turned red, just as like what I told you guys yesterday. I saw that as a possibility. Now, here's what's interesting. If we look at the Federal Reserve calendar right here, he gave his testimony at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, which was today at the time I'm recording this. And here's the interesting thing. Going down right here, he's going to be giving another testimony tomorrow before the Committee of Financial Services for the U.S. House of Representatives. This is huge. Tomorrow he's going to be speaking again to a different committee. This is going to be very important because who knows what's really going to go down. Maybe he'll try to hold us up again, and we should see something very similar to what happened today. But there's always the risk that he may use the word recession again. He may say something like that because when he speaks, the whole stock market moves. Billions, if not trillions of dollars are moved around just from his voice. All right. That's how powerful Jerome Powell is. And to me personally, I do think that we might see a little bit relief tomorrow, but then there's the risk that he could say something. It's also very possible. So we could see some downside in the markets. All right. It's just a risk. It's a possibility. But I do have some good news for you. Some good news. That is, if you look at Morgan Stanley, they think NIO is going to hit the 40s. I can actually show you that part. They think NIO will be around, they have a target of the 40s within the next 12 months. So once the economy recovers, I'm still very bullish for NIO, right? Super, super bullish. They actually think it could go to a high $55. And that's amazing. But we're not necessarily in recovery mode just yet. So I'm just informing you there will be gains in the future. NIO will recover, but right now the market's not in the perfect state as July is approaching. Now, when it comes to max pain, check this out right here on the options chain. 50,000 calls are still in the money, 45,000 are out of the money. So this is an indication that if we could get more of these calls in the money than out the money, if we manage to secure a strong close for the week by Friday, it's possible we could have a tiny amount of gamma if we get more of these calls in the money. So I would just be on the lookout for that for NIO. It's not necessarily just the end of the world. Don't look at it that way if we see some red. Just pay attention to the close and those other factors. Now, what do I think is going to happen tomorrow to NIO? This is where things become very interesting because if you look at the SPY, okay, I showed you guys how there was this gap down here. Okay, we essentially filled this gap up here, and then we started to fill part of the gap that's down here. But this part of it, this gap area right here, got filled. And typically, what happened was I talked about 370 being that zone where the SPY would probably get that bounce. That's exactly where it bounced at. And we pushed up towards the end, but we still closed a little bit red. And now what's interesting is there are two main gaps now. There's one gap way up here around that 390 range. If the market starts to rally, if the SPY manages to actually push above that 384, 385 level, then yeah, we're probably going to fill this gap. But if there's choppy price action, the market's red, and SPY cannot hold 370, we're most likely going to fill the gap way down here in that. Where is that gap, by the way? This gap down here is around that 366 range. So yeah, the SPY it looks more probable we might see a little downside tomorrow, maybe a slight push up as Powell speaks, followed by a bit of a bleed off if he does say anything again involving a recession, and he is going to be questioned tightly. So that's the reason why I'm so wary of potential downside, and I'm so cautious. And I do think downside is once again a little bit more probable than upside, as we do have this gap down here. But it also depends on what Jerome Powell says, okay? That's why I can't make a perfect prediction for the SPY and the NASDAQ and the overall market. It depends heavily on him. With that said, what do I think is going to happen? Well, we have this gap down here, and NIO actually did end up dropping below $22 at some points this today. So what I think could happen is tomorrow, Powell may be speaking, all right? And he actually, let me redo this. Give me 1 second. I think that Powell is actually going to be questioned again. And I do think we could get a bit of a bounce in the open, just like what happened earlier. But I also think that we might see another bleed off very similar to what happened today. And it's very possible for us to actually close red again. I mean, I can't promise that. We could maybe we'll open, we're gonna dump like this when we open down to that $21 range, somewhere around there. Maybe 21.9, 21.8. We might start to push up while he's speaking, like this. And it's almost like a fake out. People get excited, and then all of a sudden the same thing that happened happens. Maybe he says recession again. Who knows what Powell is going to say when questioned. He tended to actually say things that didn't cause the market to take a massive hit for almost the entire day until that whole recession thing came up and some other things. But with that said, I mean, if Powell says something really, really bearish, something that makes him extremely hawkish, this thing, the whole market could start to dip, and NIO's next key zone would be the $21 level. First 20, then 21. Be on the lookout for that. If not, right, there's room for us to go to 24. I stated this before, but like I said before, downside seems a little bit more probable, so I am going to predict that. I do think NIO might actually end up closing around that mid, maybe kind of lower $22 level, maybe slightly red again. That's kind of like how I'm seeing it, because it's very dependent on Jerome Powell, but I just think that the risk of him saying something kind of, I don't know, that causes bearish price action is just a little bit higher because of the market conditions and how he's going to be questioned. Now, I can't promise that. I don't truly know what the future will hold, but I do want to talk about something else that's interesting. And that is, NIO put this on their Twitter page, And they're reminding us of their ES6, which is a high-performance jeans derived from the track, it's equipped with permanent magnets and induction motors with both explosive power and endurance. Once again, the ES6 is an absolutely beautiful vehicle. I think it's going to be something that really helps them drive forward as time goes on. The short term, yep, I'm bearish. Okay? Short term, I do think it's more probable the market's going to take a hit because the recession may be announced soon. It's probable NIO might start to drop around July. I know, okay? It's the truth. But you have to stay strong. You have to be patient. Because once the market bottoms, once we start to recover, I think this squeeze like event is going to push so many stocks up. I think NIO is going to explode. And this thing will be back in the 40s before you know it. It's just going to take time. So be patient. Short term, there's going to be choppy price action with Jerome Powell speaking, but you just got to take advantage of these opportunities and remain calm, cool, and collected. With that said and done, thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.